Hi everybody, I'm Aryan Rasoulipour. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about pragmatics. What is pragmatics and what are the differences and similarities between pragmatics and semantics in a linguistic science? Okay, let me talk about these two fields and compare them to each other and explain the pragmatics elaborately for you. Okay, pragmatics is the study of how context influence the meaning. It investigates what the speakers literally says and what the speakers means actually in their social and real context of the word. Pragmatics studies and views language as a form of social actions, where the true meaning of a utterance must be inferred based on the shared knowledge, as we know, the social setting and the speaker's intentions all matter here. The concept of implicature is the central to pragmatics and introduced by philosophers like H.P. Gears. An implicature is an implied meaning that is not explicitly stated. It is understood because the speakers and listeners assume they are following the cooperative principles, which is governed by four main basic maxims. The first maxim is quality. For example, look at this example. Do you like the cake or do you like a piece of cake? You will reply, it's very colorful. No, it's not true but based on pragmatics. Maybe it's true based on semantic, but in fact, it's not the response that we expected to hear in this context. The true implication is that the cake is avoiding commenting on the taste, implying don't like it. So the true response is that yes, I like, or no, I don't like. Thank you so much. Or another example is based on quantity. Okay, I could eat a horse right now. Okay, I could eat a horse right now. It doesn't actually mean I want to eat a racing horse or real animal as big as horse right now. It means the speaker is extremely hungry, as the literal statement obviously false. This depicts these items. And in another example, we can say the other maxims is relations, or it should be relevant to this context. For example, where is John? Reply, you will reply, there is a yellow car outside Mary's house. It's not relevant at all. It should be relevant. It's irrelevant totally. So John is likely at Mary's house as a car is relevant clue. It's not meaningful at all. So other maxim of this pragmatics, the responses should be really hardly relevant, not irrelevant one. And the final and at last but not least important maxim is that you should notice manners. The manners should be clear, brief, and orderly, and avoid ambiguity inside it. For example, the student went to the professor, met him, or the professor met him and the student went. Which one is true? The order of event is important. For example, you can't say the second, the first one, the student went and professor met him. It has very ambiguity. He was one of the students or staffs of university. It should be evident for us. So when a speaker deliberately and obviously violates a maxim, the listener seeks for a pragmatic meanings to preserve assumption of cooperation. Okay, the second theory is a speech act theory, developed by J.L. Austin and later John Searle. This theory posits that the language is used to perform actions rather than just to describe words. even every uterus has three main elements: locationary act, illocationary act, and perlocationary act. They are three main critical factors and phases of the theory. Okay, let me explain locationary act here. Locationary act, in fact, is the literal act of saying something, but illocationary act is the speaker's intended purpose or force of the utterance. This is a primary focus on pragmatics. And finally, the perlocationary act is the actual effect achieved on the listener by the speaker to convince or convincing, annoying, inspiring, any types of influence on listener is in due to the perlocationary act indeed. And these are some example of these types of acts as a speech act theories. For instance, it's called here, it's a utterance. Locationary act says a statement about the temperature. So illocationary act or intended force it's a request. For example, if your grandmother say it is cold here, you will say yes. No, it's quite cold. It's not. It's true by locationary act, but illocationary act force you mandatory to close the door, shut the window, and turn on, ignite the fire or fireplace, any types of heaters, machines. And another example is here. I now pronounce you man and wife. Okay. In locationary act, a statement using a specific words, a man and wife. Okay. The husband may think I was man before, but now in locationary act, when the priest or bishop saying something like this, it's a declaration. It's a marriage, a binding social action is happening here as an action. And now we should focus on deixis. Deixis are coming from the Greek word of pointing, refers to words that rely on immediate context of the utterances for the whole of the meaning. They function as linguistic pointing devices here. For example, we have three types of deixis here: person or humankind deixis, time deixis, and place deixis. Person deixis are such as pronouns I, you, he, she, and something like this. They refers their references the changes depending on who is speaking and listening to this context. But time deixis adverbs of times, in fact, like now, then, yesterday, tomorrow, today, tonight. Now only has fixed references at the time of utterances. And place deixis is demonstrative and adverb of place, like this, that, there, then, not then, if, though, then, here, and something like this. For example, here means the location of the speaker. Okay? Now, but what are the differences between semantic and pragmatics here? As I promised to explain it for you elaborately in detail. Semantic is the study of meaning of linguistic expressions, words and phrases and sentences, in fact. It's independent of context in which they are used. It is concerned with inherent conventional meaning stored in language system, machine context. It's a lexicons and grammars at all, just these items. But core concepts of semantics are truth conditions, a core focus on formal semantics, particularly for declarative sentences, is determining the truth conditions. This means they are defining the conditions under which a sentence is considered true or false in a possible word. An example, the sentence the cat is on the mat is true if and only if exists a cat and mat there. And the cat's physical position is above and supported by the mat in this sentence. The truth values does not depend on how and who says it, when and why. And the lexical semantics also refer to these areas, focuses on individual words and lexical and relationship between them. They may be denotation, they may be connotative words. Denotative or denotations concepts is literal meaning. The denotation refers to dictionary definition of word, and connotations is emotional or cultural association attached of a word, like home and house. Both of them are same denotatively, but home is much more carrying much more warm and welcoming character in social context rather than house. House is only a building, but home is everything. It's a various position in connotative context of a lexicon. And sense relations, it could be synonymy, antonymy, and hyponymy, as mentioned before in previous video in this channel. Synonymy is like same, meaning big and large. Antonymy, as a recap, is opposite, meaning hot and cold. Hyponymy is like that term. Dog is a hyponym of animal, and hypernym is like relation between king and man, queen or princess to lady. And compositionality is the principle of compositionality. It states that meaning of a complex expression like a sentence is here determined by meaning of its parts as a words and the way they are syntactically combined to each other. Okay? For example, we can have the meaning of kick the ball is a result of combining meaning John and kicked the ball according to the rules of English syntax. Detailed comparison between them is some dividing line between semantics and pragmatics. The distinction between semantics and pragmatics is often described as the line between context and independent meaning and context dependent meaning. For example, the sentence of a word and meaning. These are the critical rule of semantic, but whereas the utterance and speaker meaning is the target and aims, main goals are pragmatics. The nature of meaning in the semantics are fixed, systematic, and conventional. But in on the contrary, in pragmatics, is variable, flexible, and not rigid one, and context-driven. Other differences are in aspects between semantics and pragmatics are considered like this. Focus on in ambiguity, our main difference between these two terms. For example, in concept of semantics, identifies people's meaning like back means river, bank means river edge, or financial institutions. There are some ambiguity in terms of semantic. For example, if I say I went to bank, you might think I went to a real financial institute to withdraw or within some monies or doing some financial jobs there, or I went to bank of a river and drew some painting there. Both of them are ambiguously possible. But in pragmatics, they select intended meaning based on the setting and knowledge. An example of scenario, we can say, do you have any money? In semantic analysis, we say, yes, I have some money regarding to possession of currency. But in pragmatics analysis, it's an indirect request for a loan. For example, if you want, you say, yes, if my Paul, here you are. How much money do you want? For example, how much dollar, how much pound? Something like this. And the meaning equation is meaning literal words in the semantics based on grammar rules. But in pragmatics, the literal words adds and mix to context, annotations, and infrations. These are the main differences between semantics and pragmatics. And if we want to overlap by diffusive boundary, while the theoretical distinct interact constantly, the enrichment pragmatics often enrich semantic content. For example, in the statement, I haven't eaten all day, semantically this means any time today. Pragmatically, it's enriched to mean I haven't eaten a main meal all day, or often implies I'm very hungry, like this. And reference assignment is something like that. Semantics gives you and gives us the potential meaning of a word like he or she. But pragmatics is necessarily is to assign the actual referent in a specified conversation. In a sense, semantics provide toolkit like words and some sentences meaning, but pragmatics provide the instructions for how to use tools actually efficiently, effectively, and interpret them, resulting structures in a social context. That's it. Thank you for attending on my YouTube channel and watching this video. If you preferred it, share it to your friends and acquaintances. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe in my channel, ring the bell notification to be notified for my further videos. Until the next time, farewell, goodbye, and good luck. Take care.